Welcome to Reddy Technologies. Advantages and drawbacks of Selenium. Selenium is a test tool, and in some documentations you can find it as a web automation framework. That is also correct. Official website of Selenium is selenium.dev. Previous website seleniumhq.org. Current website selenium.dev. From that selenium.dev, we can download Selenium software as well as you can get the Selenium documentation from that site. That is official website for Selenium. See, Selenium is an open source test tool. Next, it is for functional and regression testing of web-based applications. Next, functional and regression test tools in the market. Selenium UFT, Micro Focus UFT, that is commercial tool. Smart Bear Test Complete, it is also commercial tool. IBM RFT, Rational Functional Tester. Next, Micro Focus SilkTest, Water, etc. See, in these tools, functional and regression testing tools, Selenium is having highest market share. Now, Selenium is #1 test tool in the IT market. Not only in functional test category, you take all categories of automated testing: functional test automation, performance test automation, API test automation, acceptance test automation. Next, security test automation, test management. Test management is not execution. You take all types of automated testing. Nowadays, Selenium is #1 tool. Okay. In this video, two parts. First one, advantages of Selenium. Next, disadvantages of or drawbacks of Selenium. First, advantage of Selenium. Selenium is an open source software. Say, Selenium is an open source software. Source code available on net. Anybody can download and use it free of cost. If you have programming knowledge, you can update the code and use it. But selling modified code is not allowed. No commercial activity. Why? Selenium is not yours, is not mine. That is open source. So download and use free of cost. Download and use it. Next, download, modify the source code and use it. If you want to distribute it to others, distribute it with free of cost. Next, selling modified code is not allowed. Next, Selenium, even though it is open source tool, it has license. Selenium license is Apache 2. Selenium license name is Apache 2. What is the objective of Apache 2? It is free of cost only, but selling modified code is not allowed. Okay. Next, second one, Selenium supports various programming languages to write test cases. See, I think all of you familiar with this concept. Functional test tools. In automated testing, programming knowledge is required. For manual testing, no programming knowledge is required. For automated testing, programming knowledge is required, especially for automated functional testing. Selenium, UFT, RFT, etc. For automated performance testing using JMeter, load runner, etc., less or no programming knowledge. Program structure is there, but less programming knowledge is enough. Okay. Ours is functional test tool. Programming knowledge is required. Selenium supports various programming languages to write test cases. Test the case. See, actually it is manual testing term, test the case. In automated testing, suppose if it is UFT test environment or RFT test environment, we call test or test script. But in Selenium, test case is the official term. You can call test script, no problem. But official term is test case, Selenium test case, correct term. Okay, say, suppose UFT, competitor of Selenium, formerly QTP. UFT supports VB script programming only. Suppose RFT supports .NET, VB.NET and Java only. Next, test complete supports several languages. Our Selenium also supports various programming languages to write test cases, in which Java is having highest market share. See, Selenium supports Java, core Java, not advanced Java. Advanced Java not required. Core Java. Next, Python, C#. Next, Ruby, JavaScript, and Kotlin. See, earlier, Perl, PHP, now they removed support for Perl, etc. Perl is structured programming language. Mother of Perl is C. Perl wrote in C language. Now, our Selenium moving towards complete object-oriented programming. Suppose Java object-oriented programming language, Python object-oriented, C# object-oriented, Ruby object-oriented, JavaScript object-oriented, and Kotlin object-oriented. Okay. Say you can choose any one of those languages to write test cases, but in the market, nowadays in the market, Java is popular. Java has nearly 65 to 70% market share, remaining 5 languages 30 to 35%. Next, Selenium supports various operating systems to execute test cases. Say, suppose UFT, formerly QTP, Quick Test Professional. UFT supports Windows operating environment only. It doesn't support Linux. But our Selenium supports all popular operating environments: Microsoft Windows, Linux, Macintosh. What is the operating system supports? What is the operating system support? For example, our AUT stands for Application Under Test. Suppose our AUT installed on Windows, you can use Selenium for testing. Suppose our application installed on Linux, you can use Selenium for testing. Our application on Mac, suppose our application is cross-platform, we need to check compatibility. Suppose our application on Mac, you can use Selenium for testing. Next, fourth one, Selenium supports various browsers to execute test cases. See, test cases are common for every browser, means we use Selenium element locators, web element locators, web or HTML element locators, and Selenium WebDriver API commands to write test cases. See, these web or HTML element locators and Selenium WebDriver commands are common for or same for every browser. Suppose if you create 100 test cases, want to execute these cases using all popular browsers with respect to customer requirement, using all popular browsers, you can execute. Selenium supports all popular browsers, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, old version of Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer. Now Microsoft Corporation stopped support for IE, but still our Selenium is supporting IE. Okay. Say Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Opera, Safari. Next, means if you create some test cases, want to execute using different browsers, you can execute. Okay. Next, Selenium supports parallel test execution. See, It is one of the advantage of automated testing. If you can execute test cases in parallel, you can save the execution time. Say in our Selenium tools suite, Selenium is not a single tool. Selenium is a suite of tools, or you can say Selenium components. Say Selenium has 4 components earlier, now 3 components. Earlier, Selenium IDE, record and playback tool, browser plugin. Next, Selenium RC, remote control. Now, it was removed from latest versions of Selenium. Next, Selenium WebDriver. Next, Selenium Grid. Selenium Grid is only for test execution, parallel testing. What is parallel testing? Suppose if you create some 100 test cases using Selenium WebDriver, you can execute those cases using same Selenium WebDriver one by one. Suppose your requirement is like this. For example, as per customer requirements, you want to execute these 100 test cases using Chrome browser, Mozilla Firefox browser, and Edge browser. Next, on Windows environment, Linux environment, and Mac environment. Compatibility. Cross-platform application, suppose yours is. If you use Selenium Grid supports the guests concept, host and guests. You take one host computer, take 3 or 4 guest computers, you can distribute the load. Suppose using first computer, execute your 100 test cases using Chrome. On second computer, execute these 100 test cases using Edge. On third computer, execute same 100 test cases using Mozilla Firefox. Like that, you can reduce the execution time. So, using Selenium Grid tool, Selenium Grid doesn't support test design, only test execution. Using Selenium WebDriver test cases, you can execute tests in parallel using Selenium Grid. Suppose you don't want parallel testing in your project. For that, Selenium WebDriver is only enough. Create test cases using Selenium WebDriver and execute those cases using same WebDriver. Next, last one, Selenium uses fewer hardware resources. See, Selenium tool doesn't have UI, user interface, no menus, no built-in features. Suppose if it is UFT, it has built-in editor for writing test scripts. Next, recording facility, checkpoints, output values, recovery scenarios, etc. Selenium doesn't have built-in features. It is API, application programming interface. It doesn't have UI, user interface, no built-in features. So, it doesn't take more hardware resources. But you need to write code for each and everything. But it uses less hardware resources when it compares to other tools like UFT, RFT, test complete, etc. Next, other advantages also there. These are the important advantages. Next, second part in this video, drawbacks of Selenium. Drawbacks. See, first drawback, no reliable technical support from anybody. See, since it is open source tool, open source software, you can't get reliable technical support. Suppose if you struck at middle of the automation, your project automation, nobody can support reliably. Why? It is not a vendor tool. See, Selenium forum is there. They may support, may not support, no guarantee. If it is UFT, test complete, RFT like commercial tools, they are vendor tools. Vendor supports for your issues according to your agreements. But Selenium has no vendor, no reliable technical support. No problem. Nowadays, awareness is increasing, growing, so you can get help from others. Next, it supports web-based applications only. See, according to Selenium official website, selenium.dev, Selenium automates browsers. That's it. See, Selenium doesn't, browser means browser-based applications, means it supports web applications, computer web applications only. It doesn't support desktop applications, mobile applications. Say, suppose UFT, formerly QTP, it supports desktop applications and web applications. Test Complete supports desktop applications, web applications, and mobile applications. But our Selenium supports only web-based applications. No problem. Nowadays, 80%, 85%, approximately 90% applications are web-based applications. So you can cover maximum software testing. Next, third one, difficult to use. It takes more time to create test cases. Already we discussed. Selenium doesn't have what is that one? Built-in features. No UI, user interface. It is only API, application programming interface. For everything you need to write the code. It takes more time to create test cases. Time required, efforts required, but everything is possible. Difficult to use when it compares to commercial tools like UFT, RFT, Test Complete, etc. Next, difficult to set up test environment when it compares to vendor tools like UFT, RFT, SilkTest, Test Complete, etc. Why? Suppose if it is UFT, if you install UFT software, you can get a complete tool. Means after installing UFT or RFT, launch UFT tool or RFT tool, launch the tool and start working. But Selenium is not like that. Selenium is not an all-inclusive test tool. It requires some third-party plugins and frameworks in order to broaden the scope of testing. Suppose Selenium doesn't have built-in editor. Programming, you need to install programming language, suppose Java. Next, you need to install Eclipse IDE. Next, Maven, TestNG, etc. plugins and frameworks. But if it is UFT, if you install UFT, VB script engine for programming, VB script for programming. VB script engine is built in with UFT. MS Access engine built in with UFT for supporting SQL commands. Next, built-in spreadsheet, Excel-like, not Excel, Excel-like spreadsheet built-in for data-related operations. Recording is built-in feature, checkpoints built-in features, built-in editor is there. But Selenium doesn't have built-in features. Already I told, Selenium is not an all-inclusive test tool. It requires some third-party plugins and frameworks in order to broaden the scope of testing. Next, limited support for image testing. See, limited support for image-based testing. Next, new features may not work properly. Since it is open source tool, no vendor, no guarantee for working new features. They may work, may not work. So using latest versions is difficult. Say after getting some stability of those versions, you can use. If it is commercial tool, vendor can support. Next, seventh one, no test tool integration for test management tool. See, Suppose if it is UFT, formerly QTP, you can integrate UFT with ALM, Application Lifecycle Management, Test Management Tool, formerly Quality Center. After after analyzing the test results in UFT result window, if you find any deviation from expected, then you can send defects directly from UFT result window to ALM project. Integration is there. Both are from same vendor, Micro Focus. But here, no test management tool integration for Selenium. No problem. You can use test management tools like Jira, etc. are only for defect management, Bugzilla, Mantis, etc. tools with Selenium. But you need to operate these tools separately or manually. Suppose analyze the test result in Selenium, next launch your test management tool or defect management tool, enter defect details and send, like that. You need to operate. Next, no built-in result report facility. Already we discussed several times. Selenium doesn't have built-in features. No result reporting facility in Selenium WebDriver. For that, remedy is there. We can overcome that limitation, drawback, using TestNG like testing framework. We can generate test reports, but no built-in result report facility. If it is commercial tools like UFT, RFT, etc., they have a built-in result report facility. See, these are the advantages and drawbacks of Selenium. Selenium is a popular test tool. You will learn Selenium with Java. If you have leisure time, learn Python also. Nowadays, Python also trending. Thank you.